From a flicker of candlelight in 1789 to the glare of modern screens in the West Wing, every president has held the pen. Executive orders not passed by Congress, but etched into law by command. Some shaped history. Some sparked controversy. Others were forgotten. Until now. This is where we break them down. Every signature, every shift in power, every consequence still felt today. From Washington to Biden, welcome to Executive Order Watch.
Democracy, we live for it. For democracy, we fight for it. For democracy, we've died for it. And for democracy, we watch it. This is Executive Order Watch.
My fellow Americans, the year 2011 was one of extraordinary moments, quiet perseverance, and deep reflection for our nation. It was a year marked by risk, resilience, and the reaffirmation of American resolve, both at home and on the world stage. In May, the world changed in a single night. After nearly a decade of tireless pursuit, we brought Osama bin Laden to justice. In a covert operation carried out by our Navy SEALs, the leader of al-Qaeda was found and killed in Abbottabad, Pakistan. It was a moment of closure for the families of 9/11, a signal to terrorists everywhere that America does not forget, and a testament to the bravery and precision of our military and intelligence professionals. As Commander-in-Chief, it was one of the most solemn and consequential decisions I've ever made, and I carried it out with full awareness of the risks and the weight of history. Back home, we faced a different kind of challenge, a bitter budget battle that led to a debt ceiling crisis. I believed then, and still believe now, that America cannot afford to govern by brinkmanship. But the political divide was deep, and compromise was hard fought. In the end, we reached a deal that prevented default, but the damage to public confidence lingered. It was a reminder of the cost of dysfunction and of how critical it is that we reform not only our policies, but the way we do politics. In the same breath, 2011 was also the year we repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, ending the policy that forced brave service members to hide who they were. With that repeal, we upheld a fundamental truth, that every American willing to wear the uniform of this nation deserves to do so with dignity and honesty. We also witnessed powerful movements erupting around the world. From the Arab Spring uprisings in Tunisia, Egypt, and Libya to protests for justice and democracy, people stood up against tyranny. In Libya, we joined our NATO allies in protecting civilians and supporting a people yearning for freedom without putting American boots on the ground. It was an example of leading with purpose, precision, and partnerships. At home, the Occupy Wall Street movement gave voice to a growing frustration, a sense that the rules of the economy were skewed too heavily in favor of the few. As president, I acknowledged that frustration. My administration continued working to strengthen consumer protections, fight for a fairer tax system, and ensure that recovery reached everyone, not just the wealthy. Throughout 2011, I governed with a steady hand and a clear eye, focused on progress, anchored in principle, and unafraid to make hard choices. Whether it was taking decisive military action, navigating domestic political storms, or upholding civil rights, I leaned on the values that define our democracy: equality, justice, and opportunity. And when the legislative branch stalled or when national interest required swift, targeted action, I used executive orders as a means to move the country forward. Now, as we look closer at those executive orders issued in 2011, we'll uncover the tools, intentions, and impacts of those decisions, each one a thread in the larger fabric of that year. Let's take that closer look together. Executive Order 13,563, Improving Regulation and Regulatory Review on January 18, 2011. Executive Order 13,564, Establishment of the President's Council on Jobs and Competitiveness on January 31, 2011. Executive Order 13,565, establishment of the Intellectual Property Enforcement Advisory Committees on February 8, 2011. Executive Order 13,566, blocking property and prohibiting certain transactions related to Libya on February 25, 2011. Executive Order 13,567, periodic review of individuals detained at Guantanamo Bay Naval Station pursuant to the authorization for use of military force on March 7, 2011. Executive Order 13,568, extending provisions of the International Organizations Immunities Act to the Office of the High Representative in Bosnia and Herzegovina and the International Civilian Office in Kosovo on March 8, 2011. Executive Order 13,569, amendments to Executive Orders 128,024, 128,035, 12,859, and 13,532, reestablishment pursuant to Executive Order 13498 and revocation of Executive Order 13507 on April 5, 2011. Executive Order 13,570, prohibiting certain transactions with respect to North Korea on April 18, 2011. Executive Order 13,571, streamlining service delivery and improving customer service on April 27, 2011. Executive Order 13,572, blocking property of certain persons with respect to human rights abuses in Syria on April 29, 2011. Executive Order 13,573, blocking property of senior officials of the government of Syria on May 18, 2011. Executive Order 13,574, authorizing the implementation of certain sanctions set forth in the Iran Sanctions Act of 1996 as amended on May 23, 2011. Executive Order 13,575, establishment of the White House Rural Council on June 9, 2011. Executive Order 13,576, delivering an efficient, effective, and accountable government on June 13, 2011. Executive Order 13,577, establishment of the Select USA Initiative on June 15, 2011. Executive Order 13,578, coordinating policies on automotive communities and workers on July 6, 2011. Executive Order 13,579, regulation and independent regulatory agencies on July 11, 2011. Executive Order 13,580, Interagency Working Group on Coordination of Domestic Energy Development and Permitting in Alaska on July 12, 2011. Executive Order 13,581, blocking property of transnational criminal organizations on July 24, 2011. Executive Order 13,582, blocking property of the government of Syria and prohibiting certain transactions with respect to Syria on August 17, 2011. Executive Order 13,583, establishing a coordinated government-wide initiative to promote diversity and inclusion in the federal workforce on August 18, 2011. Executive Order 13,584, developing an integrated strategic counterterrorism communications initiative and establishing a temporary organization to support certain government-wide communications activities directed abroad on September 9, 2011. Executive Order 13,585, continuance of certain federal advisory committees on September 30th, 2011. Executive Order 13,586, establishing an emergency board to investigate disputes between certain railroads, represented by the National Carriers Conference Committee of the National Railway Labor Conference and their employees represented by certain labor organizations on October 6, 2011. Executive Order 13,587, structural reforms to improve the security of classified networks and the responsible sharing and safeguarding of classified information on October 7, 2011. Executive Order 13,588, reducing prescription drug shortages on October 31, 2011. Executive Order 13,589, promoting efficient spending on November 9, 2011. Executive Order 13,590, authorizing the imposition of certain sanctions with respect to the provision of goods, services, technology, or support for Iran's energy and petrochemical sectors on November 20th, 2011. Executive Order 13,591, continuance of certain federal advisory committees on November 23, 2011. Executive Order 13,592, improving American Indian and Alaska Native educational opportunities and strengthening tribal colleges and universities on December 2, 2011. Executive Order 13,593, 2011 amendments to the Manual for Courts Martial, United States on December 13, 2011. Executive Order 13,594, adjustments of certain rates of pay on December 19, 2011. Executive Order 13,595, instituting a national action plan on women, peace, and security on December 19, 2011. Executive Order 13,596, amendments to Executive Orders 12,131 and 13,539 on December 19, 2011.
Pauline's Pizza, where we deliver happiness one slice at a time. What's your craving today?
Yeah, hi. Is Seymour there?
Oh, Seymour. I think he might be busy making our special pies. But hey, why not swing by the pizzeria? We've got a pie with your name on it. Anything else I can help you with?
I was looking for Seymour Butts.
Ah, I see. Well, if you're looking for Seymour Butts, he might be hiding behind a pepperoni slice. Anything else I can do for you today?
No, that's it.
Hi, I'm Terrence, a marketing professional with a passion for helping your business grow smarter and faster. Here at DaBomb Digital Media, based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, we specialize in bringing your vision to life. Whether you're launching your first website or reimagining your entire digital presence, we've got you covered. From modern website design and search engine optimization to setting up your own AI-powered agency tools, we deliver innovative solutions that keep you ahead of the curve. Ready to unlock your business's full potential? Let's build something remarkable together. For more information, visit our YouTube channel. Just search DaBomb Digital Media on YouTube and start exploring tips, success stories, and everything you need to elevate your brand.
2011.
Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Americans, let's take a moment to revisit the year 2011, a year that tested our resilience, sharpened our global focus, and showcased the power of executive leadership in the modern presidency. Barack Obama was in the third year of his first term, facing a nation still recovering from the Great Recession, grappling with unrest abroad, and yearning for more efficient, accountable governance. And while Congress was deadlocked in bitter partisanship, he governed. Not by waiting for permission, but by using every tool available to move the country forward, including executive orders. The executive orders of 2011 weren't just bureaucratic instruments. They were catalysts. Each one reflected an urgent need, a gap left by a gridlocked Congress, or a chance to lead where delay would cost lives, dignity, or national momentum. Let's talk about what they meant that year. When President Obama signed Executive Order 13,563, he made it clear that regulations should serve the people, not stifle innovation. That order brought transparency and flexibility to the federal regulatory system, demanding that agencies justify rules not just by good intention, but by practical benefit. It's a principle we still rely on today. Later, through Executive Order 13,566, President Obama imposed powerful financial sanctions on the Libyan regime under Muammar Gaddafi. That wasn't just a policy shift, it was a line in the sand. At a time when the Arab Spring was shaking regimes and redefining global alliances, this executive action signaled that America would stand against violent oppression and with those demanding their freedom. Then came Executive Orders 13572 through 13582, a coordinated set of actions targeting human rights abuses in Syria and the growing brutality of Bashar al-Assad's regime. These orders froze assets, blocked transactions, and established the legal backbone for ongoing sanctions still in effect today. They were early responses to what became one of the defining humanitarian crises of our time. Domestically, President Obama understood that the American people were losing patience with inefficiency in government. So he acted. Through Executive Orders 13576 and 13589, he cut wasteful spending and demanded accountability from federal agencies. That wasn't just good governance. It was leading by example during a time when Americans were tightening their belts and expecting the same from Washington. And let's not overlook Executive Order 13,583, which laid out a vision for a more inclusive federal workforce. At a time when diversity and equality were rising to the forefront of national consciousness, this order made it policy, not just rhetoric. Now, some of these executive orders helped shape foreign policy. Others reformed domestic operations. But all of them reflected a presidency that refused to sit idle while the world turned. And I'll say this, in 2011, when diplomacy needed backing, when justice needed teeth, when Americans needed results, Barack Obama didn't wait. He acted. We saw cybersecurity reforms, drug shortage responses, and orders that strengthened protections for indigenous education and intellectual property. These orders may not have grabbed headlines, but they laid foundation. They gave future administrations, including mine, critical precedent and structure to build on. And so now we're going to dive deeper into the top 10 executive orders of 2011, the ones that most defined the year and whose impact still echoes today. Let's get into it. When we look back at the year 2011, we don't just see a calendar of dates. We see moments that moved the world. And we see a president, Barack Obama, who responded not with delay, but with direction. That year, the world was on fire with transformation. The Arab Spring had begun rippling across the Middle East and North Africa. In Libya, decades of dictatorship collapsed in a matter of months. In Syria, peaceful protests turned to brutal crackdowns. In Egypt, the people rose and changed the course of their nation. And throughout it all, the United States, under President Obama's leadership, walked a line between intervention and restraint, between support and sovereignty. Domestically, Americans were still picking up the pieces of the Great Recession. Confidence in institutions was fragile. Families were juggling rising healthcare costs, unemployment, and economic uncertainty. Meanwhile, Congress was paralyzed by partisan deadlock, with even basic budgets and debt ceiling negotiations turning into political standoffs. And in this climate, President Obama turned to executive orders. These orders weren't just paperwork. They were the response of a leader determined to act when others would not. And they weren't just for that moment. They were written to last. Take EO 13563, for instance. That order on regulatory reform set the groundwork for how we approach rulemaking today. It ensured that federal agencies continuously review outdated rules, listen to public input, and aim for smart, cost-effective governance. Even now, my own administration builds upon that framework. It still shapes how we regulate in sectors like environmental protection, financial oversight, and public health. Look at Executive Order 13566, which froze assets tied to the Gaddafi regime. That wasn't just a symbolic move. It showed the world that the U.S. could act swiftly and economically, aligning our financial tools with our moral compass. It set a precedent we still follow against autocracies and criminal regimes around the globe. Then there were the Syria-related orders. Executive Order 13572, 13573, 13582. They targeted individuals and institutions complicit in violence against the Syrian people. Back then, many questioned how effective these actions would be. But today, those same frameworks allow us to sanction war criminals, human rights violators, and even cyber attackers with precision. They're part of the backbone of our modern foreign policy toolkit. Domestically, Executive Order 13,589 focused on promoting efficient spending. We're still reaping the benefits of those reforms: less waste, better oversight, and a culture of fiscal responsibility across federal departments. That ethos has helped rebuild public trust in how government uses taxpayer dollars. And perhaps most impactful for the long term, Executive Order 13,583, which mandated a government-wide diversity and inclusion strategy. That wasn't just performative. It changed hiring practices, workplace policies, and equity standards throughout the federal workforce. Today, as we continue the fight for equity and representation, we stand on the shoulders of that order. Let's not forget other moments of significance. The death of Osama bin Laden in May 2011 restored a sense of justice for 9/11 families. The Occupy Wall Street movement ignited a national conversation about economic inequality. A devastating earthquake and tsunami in Japan caused a nuclear disaster in Fukushima, reminding us of the fragility of modern infrastructure and the importance of international cooperation. Here at home, natural disasters, from tornadoes in Joplin to Hurricane Irene, challenged our emergency response systems and revealed strengths and gaps alike. In all these contexts, executive orders served as tools of agility, clarity, and leadership. They filled voids. They broke gridlock. They advanced the national interest. Now, we're going to take a closer look. Out of all the orders signed in 2011, some made a deeper mark than others. Whether in foreign affairs, economic reform, national security, or civil rights, certain executive orders rose above the rest. And so, next, let's begin the review of the top 10 executive orders of 2011, those that define the year and continue to influence our present. Let's break them down, one by one. Top 10 executive orders of 2011 issued by President Barack Obama, with deep analysis of their immediate effects, long-term impact, and relevance to the present day. Top 10 executive orders of 2011. Evaluated number 1 EO 13563, Improving Regulation and Regulatory Review. Signed January 18, 2011. Impact. This executive order reinforced and updated EO 12866 from the Clinton era by demanding that all federal regulations be guided by transparency, public input, and cost-benefit analysis. It emphasized the removal of outdated or overly burdensome rules, encouraged retrospective reviews, and laid out principles for smarter governance. Present-day legacy, executive order. 13,563 became the gold standard for how modern administrations, both Democrat and Republican, approach regulatory frameworks. It's the foundation for streamlining environmental, economic, and healthcare regulations while maintaining public safety. My administration continues to rely on the logic and structure this EO established. Number 2, EO 13566, blocking property and prohibiting certain transactions related to Libya. Signed February 25, 2011. Impact. In response to Muammar Gaddafi's violent crackdown on Libyan protesters, this EO froze assets and blocked financial access for key members of the regime. It sent a powerful message without deploying troops, using economic might to support human rights. Present-day legacy. It laid groundwork for sanctions-based diplomacy, now common in dealing with authoritarian regimes. The tools used here were later adapted for Syria, North Korea, and Russia. Number 3, EO 13583, promoting diversity and inclusion in the federal workforce. Signed August 18, 2011. Impact. This order launched a coordinated government-wide strategy to ensure the federal workforce reflects the diversity of the American people. Agencies were tasked with creating and implementing inclusion strategic plans. Present-day legacy. This EO fundamentally reshaped recruitment, promotion, and workplace culture across federal agencies. Today's equity and inclusion mandates are built on its structure, and its language remains in use across DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Number 4, EO 13572. Blocking property of persons responsible for human rights abuses in Syria. Signed April 29, 2011. Impact. This EO was the first in a series targeting Bashar al-Assad's regime. It froze assets and prohibited transactions with individuals connected to the systemic abuse of Syrian civilians. Present-day legacy. This order initiated a sanctions framework that's still in place today. It helped define U.S. policy toward the Assad regime and set precedent for targeted sanctions over broad economic ones. Number 5, EO 13589, promoting efficient spending. Signed November 9, 2011. Impact. With the debt ceiling crisis fresh in public memory, this EO aimed to cut wasteful federal spending, banning swag, reducing travel, and demanding efficiency across departments. Present-day legacy. It restored public trust at a critical time and still informs ongoing cost control strategies in government, especially during fiscal crises or shutdown threats. Number 6, EO 13567, Periodic Review of Guantanamo Detainees. Signed March 7, 2011. Impact. This EO created a structure for periodic reviews of individuals detained at Guantanamo Bay, allowing for re-evaluation of threats and potential transfers. Present-day legacy. While Guantanamo remains open, this EO was critical in transitioning the facility toward transparency and international law standards. It showed a commitment to human rights, even in the national security context. Number 7, EO 13587. Structural Reforms for Safeguarding Classified Information, signed October 7, 2011. Impact. In response to WikiLeaks and other breaches, this EO strengthened cybersecurity and information sharing protocols across classified networks. Present-day legacy. It laid the foundation for zero-trust architecture and interagency cybersecurity strategies that are still active today, especially in light of recent attacks like SolarWinds and threats from foreign actors. Number 8, EO 13574, Implementation of Iran Sanctions Act, signed May 23, 2011. Impact. This EO authorized the enforcement of expanded sanctions on Iran's energy sector. It was a strategic move to pressure Iran diplomatically while maintaining global energy stability. Present-day legacy. Its language and enforcement mechanics were used by subsequent administrations, especially in negotiations over the Iran nuclear deal and reimposed sanctions in 2018. Number 9, EO 13592, Improving Native American Educational Opportunities, signed December 2, 2011. Impact. This EO created a framework to improve access to education for Native American and Alaska Native communities while strengthening tribal colleges and universities. Present-day legacy. It's still a benchmark in Native American policy. Many of the reforms introduced are now woven into the Department of Education's ongoing tribal outreach and grant programs. Number 10, EO 13588, Reducing Prescription Drug Shortages, signed October 31, 2011. Impact. Responding to a national crisis of medication shortages, especially for cancer treatments, this EO required early reporting by manufacturers and increased FDA authority to prevent disruptions. Present-day legacy. The pandemic underscored the importance of this EO. Its frameworks were reactivated during COVID-19 to stabilize pharmaceutical supply chains and are now core to how we anticipate and address medical supply challenges. Closing reflection. The executive orders of 2011 were not just timely, they were visionary. In a year shaped by revolution, recession, and recovery, President Obama didn't hesitate to lead. His pen became a symbol of determination, a tool for steering the ship of state when the winds of Congress wouldn't blow. Each of these 10 orders tells a story, not just of that year, but of how we govern today.
Some write history with blood, some with laws, but the sharpest stroke comes from the pen. Executive power ain't just a tool, it's a weapon wielded by the few, affecting the many. They sign it, we live it. They order it, we obey it. Here, watching, digging, remembering. From the plantation to the proclamation, from internment camps to civil rights stands, from surveillance laws to student loan draws. Order can change your life, and you might not even know it, but now you do. So stay locked in, stay woke, stay sharp. We ain't just talking about power, we tracking it. Executive Order Watch, and we ain't blinking.